Okay, great. I am going to recognize a quorum here at 3 p.m., and we're going to go ahead and move into our ceremonial items listed on our agenda. By the way, full house and really good having all of you here. So going to be a productive business meeting, but a fun one as well. So thank you guys for attending. At this time, we're going to have Brady Clark come up and offer the invitation. Would you guys stand and then remain standing for the pledges?
As a community, we're made up of people from all different backgrounds, all different belief systems, all different ways of seeing the world. And for me, as a Christian pastor, I go to the scriptures to find things that can bring us together and allow us to stand united for the benefit of our community and for the world around us. And so as we begin this morning or this afternoon, I want to read just a couple of scriptures before we pray that I think will set the tone and help us to walk into this with the right attitude and hopefully the right heart. Psalm 133, verse 1 says, "Behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity." And as ones who serve as elected officials and as ones who represent their communities that are here, a reminder from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 22, that says this, "Thus says the Lord, do justice and righteousness, and deliver from the hand of the oppressor him who has been robbed, and do no wrong or violence to the resident alien, to the fatherless and the widow, nor shed innocent blood in this place." And out of Colossians, Paul says, "And above all these things, put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony." Let us pray. Lord, we thank you that you have brought us together as a community in such a time as this. We thank you that you have allowed us to be in positions to make decisions and to hopefully lead our community forward in the best way possible. Lord, we pray for the unity of heart. We pray for the unity of will, that we can come forth and do what's best, not just for Amarillo as a whole, but for each and individual family and individual represented in this place. And Lord, let us be a bright light, a beacon on a hill that shows people that although we do come from different places, that we do have different backgrounds, that we have different political ideologies, we can be bound together with one heart to do what is right and do what is good. So in the name of Christ I pray, Lord, bless this time and lead us forward in truth and in goodness and in justice. Amen.
Okay, we have a few recognitions that we get to do here today. Councilman Reed, I put one in front of you that I know you helped to bring. Would ask you to read that, and then Councilman Prescott has the other one. So if we could, we're going to go ahead and go downstairs here, and if I could ask Tam Boatler to come up, please.
All right, certificate of recognition. Whereas the Amarillo Shrine building was completed in 1926 and has stood at 305 Southeast 5th in downtown Amarillo ever since. remaining one of the oldest buildings in the community to continuously serve its original purpose. And whereas the Kiva Shrine represents more than 550 active shrine members across the Texas Panhandle who are united in fellowship, philanthropy, and a shared commitment to serving children and families in need. And whereas the Kiva Shriners join more than 300,000 Shriners worldwide in supporting and sustaining Shriners Hospitals, Children's Hospitals, a renowned healthcare system dedicated to providing specialized pediatric care regardless of a family's ability to pay. And whereas since its founding in 1922, Shriners Children's Hospitals have provided specialized medical care to nearly 2 million children, focusing on orthopedic conditions, burns, spinal cord injuries, and cleft lip and palate while advancing important medical research. And whereas as the Kiva Shrine celebrates 100 years of service to children in the Amarillo community, its members continue to embody the enduring Shriner motto, "No man stands so tall as when he stoops to help a child." Now therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Amarillo, Texas, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Kiva Shrine on the occasion of its 100th anniversary and extend our sincere appreciation for a century of philanthropy, compassion, and dedication to improving the lives of children and families in Amarillo and throughout the world.
Well, we certainly appreciate all of this. Takes 100 years to get it, but we got it finally. And I'd like to let everybody look at it. It's a nice certificate. And the Kiva works hard to help kids, and we can all use all of y'all to help. Thank you very much.
Rudy, are you here? Can you bring everybody up? Certificate of Recognition. Whereas Private First Class Gabriel Chavez, born August 18, 1922, in Potter County, Texas, served his country with honor in the United States Army during World War II. And whereas Private First Class Chavez served with Company L 383 or 383rd Infantry Regiment, 96th Infantry Division, and courageously participated in combat operations during one of the most pivotal conflicts in world history. And whereas on April 29, 1945, during the Battle of Okinawa, Private First Class Chavez demonstrated extraordinary heroism and devotion to duty while facing enemy forces. And whereas for his bravery and sacrifice in combat, the President of the United States posthumously awarded Private First Class Gabriel Chavez the Distinguished Service Cross in 1945, one of the nation's highest military honors for extraordinary heroism. And whereas Private First Class Chavez, who gave his life in service to his country and now rests in Llano Cemetery in Amarillo, Texas, leaves a legacy of courage and sacrifice that continues to inspire the Amarillo community. Know therefore, the City of Amarillo proudly recognizes Private First Class Gabriel Chavez for his extraordinary courage and sacrifice, and extends its deepest appreciation to his family as we honor the legacy of a hero whose service we will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. The family appreciates it. Just for all the servicemen and women that are out there that are protecting us, and this is for them too. Thank you.
Okay, making good progress. Thank you guys for letting us recognize those individuals, and it's very important to our community that we not only look forward, but that we remember. Right now, I'm going to officially call us to order, walk us into this part of our meeting, and ask Mr. City Manager, do you have any announcements today? Okay. Ms. City Secretary, if you'll take us into public comment, item number 4, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for participating in today's City Council meeting. Your input and your opinions are important to us, and we're glad that you're here to share them today. At each posted meeting, we invite our fellow community members to address City Council regarding posted agenda items or topics related to city policy. During both public comment and any of our public hearings today, each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the council. At the end of 2.5 minutes, a warning beep will sound to alert you that you have 30 seconds left to wrap up your thoughts. We ask that you stay within your 3 minutes allotted. We have multiple public hearings today. If you are here to speak on an item with a public hearing, we ask that you make your comment on that item either during public comment or during the public hearing but not both, in order to help us keep accurate records. It's your decision at which point you wish to speak. We will be utilizing both podiums today. When we call your name, please make your way to the empty podium. Upon your turn, please state your name and whether or not you live within the Amarillo city limits. Then you may begin providing your comments to City Council. If you're speaking to an item that is not on today's agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act limits how elected officials may respond. Council may respond with statements of fact. They may ask your topic be added to a future agenda, or they may refer the topic to the city manager, who can have staff step out and visit with you regarding the item. If you are here to speak today and have not signed up yet, please come see me now at the dais. You can come from this side over here and fill out a form so that we can add you to our list to call you forward. At this time, we will begin with Claudia Stravato. And on deck after Claudia Stravato, if Jason Ford will make his way to the empty podium.
I'm a citizen of Potter County and have been for many years. I'm here today to speak about the issue of the Ten Commandments monument at the city. It seems like we're back where we were a couple of years ago when sanctuary cities was an issue where we were mixing religion with government, and it resulted in a great deal of time-consuming discord. I'd like to say that Amarillo is a very religious community. We are considered the buckle of the Bible Belt. We have many Protestant churches, Catholic churches, a Muslim temple, several Buddhist temples, and many unaffiliated churches. We are not a Christian-only community. We are not a Christian-only state. We are not a Christian-only nation. We are a people in this country who believe in freedom of religion and the right to practice our religion of choice. Notwithstanding that you continue to say, this is continuing from a year ago this month, that this topic came up, that is simply a historical acknowledgement. You can say that whatever happened yesterday is history, or 2 weeks before. Everybody knows the Ten Commandments is a Judeo-Christian document. There are constitutional concerns, even though I know you were assured last year of a group that would defend you. There are still constitutional concerns because the courts have not been consistent. It can look like government endorsement of a particular religion, which many argues violates the First Amendment's Establishment Clause that bars government from favoring one faith over another. Courts have struck down some Ten Commandments displays when the primary purpose appeared religious rather than educational or historical. There's also the issue of exclusion of non-believers, non-adherents, people that belong to a different religion. A government-sponsored religious text can make residents who are not Jewish or Christian feel like outsiders or second-class citizens, signaling that full belonging is tied to a specific faith or tradition. Families and religious leaders, including some Christians, have argued that these displays send a message of religious intolerance. We also have a variety of one-sex interpretation of the Ten Commandments over another. The separation of church and state is very important. We've worked on this for 249 years in this country, and bringing it back again to Amarillo when we're talking about city government is just another foolish attempt to cause discord in the community. And I can say, and I conclude, that last year when this came up, members of the community contacted the separation of church and state organization, and they were ready at that time to file a lawsuit, which will cause trouble. Thank you very much.
Stravato.
Okay, is Jason Ford here? If not, our next speaker will be Diana Rivera. Lena Seberg. And as Lena makes her way up, after Lena, we will have Tim Benson.
Mayor, Council, I'm Lena Seberg. I'm a resident of Amarillo, Texas, and I'm here to speak about the consideration of resolution number 310-26-5 for more surveillance. I don't understand what this is about. Why do we need to micromanage people? You know, I mean, this is maybe a good thing, but it could be used for very evil purposes. And I don't think you guys want somebody spying on you all the time, seeing your car go from here to there. You know, we could spy on you and follow you on vacation if we wanted to, because that seems to be what y'all are wanting to do. And this translates not just to crime, not just to illegal immigrants or legal immigrants or anything like that. You can use this against women leaving the state. Old white men do not need to be spying on people. We've got enough problems with that already. You need to drop it.
After Tim Benson, we will invite up Deb Bunson. And Tim, you may begin.
First of all, statement of fact. Have the boards for the city of Amarillo, all the boards, have they been sent out a conflict of interest agreement to be signed? Yes or no? Can somebody answer that?
We don't have that update, but we can get it to you today.
Do they plan on sending that out?
Statement of
know,
fact,
sir.
yes, we do.
You do? Okay. Thank you. The other thing is the COs. You know, COs are set up for emergency situations, not a budgeted item. You know, that's just like Don said. That's a credit card that we got to pay back. Sooner or later, we got to pay it back. So just pass it on down the road to the next generation, I guess. But I'll leave it at that. But one thing I would like to comment, whoever finally got the agreement to put the vending machines in, thank you.
Okay, Deb Bunson, and after Deb will be Kim Benson.
Hi, I'm Deb Bunson. I live in the town of Amarillo, about 30 years, and a proud female veteran. Being a veteran, my oath did not expire when I left the service. And I'm here on some constitutional issues that I feel are very important. Unfortunately, I'm not as eloquent as Claudia, but I do have a few things. As the pastor said, we dwell together in unity, do justice, and pray for unity. So what I don't understand is about these cameras that are going to be placed around town. That is my understanding. I'm not fully versed, so excuse my ignorance on that. But how is that going to affect all residents? Against all people crossing the border without paperwork. I refuse to say illegal aliens. We're on stolen land. Also, I grew up in Minnesota. My friends and family are being affected by what's going on right now and what has been going on. I do not want to see that happening where I am currently living. They say they're going after criminals. Well, we know that hasn't been the case. So how, if you do this, are going to prevent another Minneapolis? And then as far as the 10 Commandments, as Claudia stated, we are not a Christian town. We are not only a Christian state or a Christian nation. We have mixed religions. We are a melting pot. That is how the United States became the United States 249 years ago, and I hope we can stay that way, even though we're getting ready to celebrate 250. I want us to stay with our Constitution. If you didn't serve, if you didn't uphold your right hand to swear to the Constitution, then don't preach to us that have. Please do the right thing for all people in this town. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I will go ahead and just give a statement on item 7.9. I believe that's most of what you guys are addressing. So we'll have a thorough discussion on that item and be able to tell everybody. So if you don't stay for the full meeting, you can watch the video. It'll be streamed. But you'll get an update from staff on exactly what that $87,000 is going for as it pertains to public safety. And if that's not the item, then I'm unaware of maybe what you guys are addressing. So thank you. Mrs. Benson.
Cassie Green, you'll be next if you want to make your way up to the empty podium. And Kim, you may begin.
Okay, thank you. Kim Benson, Amarillo, Texas. I'm here today to talk to you because I came for the work session this morning on the budget, and it reminded me of something. I came before the council January 28th, 2025, and talked to the council about streaming the board meetings. Today in the work session, you talked about that you're going to rely on the boards to help you in the decision making for the budget shortfalls, whether it's assessing fees or cutting programs, whatever. But we don't stream our boards, and your boards are very important. I've been attending several board meetings in the last several months and have seen how important our boards are, who you place on those boards. But one element that we're missing also is streaming those board meetings. The citizens don't get to see that. They're not advantaged like I am of being retired and having the time to go to those board meetings and see what's going on in our city. You know, Mr. Simpson, you were nice enough back when I came in January of that year and put it on an agenda, and you instructed the staff to do that very thing. When we moved into this building has that capability of streaming that. You don't want to use the council room, that's fine, because it's set for you guys, but room 1500 has that capability. It hasn't happened. I did ask Mr. Path and the city secretary about when that was going to happen back during the election season. They said they were working on it. Well, here we are, almost May of this year, and it's not happened. So before y'all put that on the boards, let's get the citizens involved and see what's going on in these boards. You know, when Parks and Recreation brought to you that we were going to close those pools, that blindsided us. When was that decision made? It was made in Parks and Rec. You guys didn't know what they discussed. I mean, Mr. Reed's on that board, but the rest of you guys aren't on that board. You don't know what's going on. But in your spare time when you're bored, like me, go look at those streaming videos, but we don't have that capability. Please talk about it again or instruct this staff to not slow play it anymore and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
After Cassie will be Misty Collier. And Cassie, you may begin.
Hi, my name's Cassie Green. I'm a resident of Amarillo. And basically, I kind of have the same concern concerning items 7.8 and 7.9. Have we even ran this kind of agenda across any of our boards that we have set in their state? I'm on the board of digital rights, and I have not seen this agenda. So that being said, I feel like you should not move forward until you have citizen participation. And there's a lot of concerns. I've been on social media, and people are not okay with these agenda items. Thank you.
On deck after Misty will be Mike Fisher. Misty, you may begin.
My name is Misty Collier. I'm a citizen of Amarillo. Our founding forefathers warned us about a government that stops listening to its people. In the Declaration of Independence, they wrote that they had petitioned for redress in the most humble terms, yet their petitions were unanswered only by repeated injury. Today, many people feel that same frustration. We write letters, we attend meetings, we vote, we petition our leaders for justice, transparency, and accountability. Yet too often our voices are dismissed. The founding generations believed government derives its power from the consent of the governed. When the people speak, leaders must listen. This nation was built on an idea that justice belongs to the people. And we will continue to speak until our government remembers who it serves. I would ask you to not violate our Fourth Amendment rights by AI technology and surveillance. I quit coming to these meetings because I felt like my voice was not being heard and the people's voice was not being heard. I find hope in the fact that God gave me righteous causes. He asked me to speak, so I spoke. Every subject I have given to you, you have shown me a no vote to and a wall. But God, He is good. No matter the vote that was rendered, God took every issue and made it a national offense. So I keep speaking because of that. And when it comes to separation of church and state, that was so that the government wouldn't interfere with the faith of this nation. And I pledge allegiance to one nation under God in America. And our founding fathers based every document on the principles of the Scripture, period. Have a nice day.
Okay, after Mr. Fisher will be Ms. Tanya Winston, and Mike, you may begin.
Thank you. My name is Mike Fisher. I live in the city limits of Amarillo. I watched the budget workshop, I guess that's what you call it, right, this morning. And there's talks about a lot of cuts, cutting services, tightening your belt a little bit. And that's what I think the city should be doing. I can start with one thing that can save you a lot of money. I've already brought it up. Just get on your phones while you're here and go to the city of Amarillo, Amarillo.com, anybody in the audience, and just ask it a question. I asked one question today. I didn't keep asking it questions until I couldn't answer it. The first question, who's the police chief of Amarillo? And it didn't know. We're paying $500,000 a year for Emma. For the people here that don't know who Emma is, it's an AI bot that we're spending, I think it adds up to about $5 million. And $500,000 a year. Just imagine if we shopped local. We could just hire 2 people to just answer the phones all day. And we could probably pay them, $50K a year? And then we'd still save $200,000-$300,000. And they probably know who the police chief is. Ask ChatGPT who the police chief is. It gave me everything I wanted to know. When you guys approved it, when he was sworn in, but the one that we're paying $500K a year for didn't know the answer. And you could integrate ChatGPT into the city's website for about $50K a year. So there's you some more savings. Or just hire a couple of people. And then the city manager's talking about cutting costs, and he says the naysayers don't know what they're talking about, something to that effect. While he's over here trying to, I guess, buy some old used equipment from Amarillo National so they can put a drive-up at City Hall so people can pay their bills. Yet I haven't heard a single person come up here and complain about needing a drive-up. But he somehow knows better than we do that we need some sort of drive-up. I think we still have a temporary booth out there to prove everybody wrong that we need a drive-up. The next thing is if you could take 5.13 off the consent agenda. Again, we're talking about cutting costs. $1.846 million to update the bathrooms at the Civic Center. And we all know we're probably going to get a new Civic Center someday. Why in the heck did we approve this in the first place? But not only that, we've got a change order. So how can we be responsible? We're going to hold these contractors to their bids. We're going to add another $100K to this. So if I'm a contractor, I know I can low bid it, get the bid, give a change order, and we can always go up on the price later, but I'll bid low so I'll get the bid. Cole, you know about this, right? I mean, let's do better with the current bids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Appreciate you.
After Ms. Winston will be Jason Roden, and Ms. Winston, you may begin.
Good day. Good day. I'm here because I have concerns about the voters registration office here in Amarillo, Texas. On March the 2nd, I went to go see about my aunt. When I got there, she told me that she had put her ballot, her mail-in ballot that she filled out, in front of her mailbox, which is on the left side of her door, so it's close up. So when she puts her mail out, she sits and waits for the mailman to come to watch her mail. This is just what she does. But what was odd, she said, is he took her ballot off of the clip and put it back in her mailbox. So I just so happened to go by my aunt's house that day to check on her. She told me what happened. I told her that I would try and take her ballot to the Santa Fe building. I told her they might not take it. You might have to be the one to bring it. So on March the 3rd, I went to the Santa Fe building on the 3rd floor, tried to give them her ballot. They wouldn't take it because she had to deliver it herself. They even said that they would, if she was in the car, they would go out there, but she was not with me. So they instructed me that I could go to the downtown post office, and they have a special box for the ballots that one of their employees would go pick up. Well, when I go down to the post office, the United States mail employee, she said, I don't know why they keep sending people down here to this post office and telling them that we have a special box for the ballots. We don't have a special box for the ballots. All the mail has to go in this bucket with all the other mail. She said, I don't know why they're telling people that. You're not the first person to come down. So I said, well, they told me to make sure that it's post-dated and that you all will put it in this special ballot box and someone will come and pick it up. She said, no, ma'am. She said, all mail has to be expedited in that bucket, and that bucket will go to Ross. My concern is somebody wasn't on the same page. And by that being March the 3rd, the actual election day, how many other people put their ballots and followed those instructions? And what I need to know is, how do the people who did their ballots through the mail, how do they really know if their ballots was submitted? Do they get a letter back saying that their ballots were submitted or what? And that was a question that other people had asked me that I couldn't give them. So what I need for the city to get on top of that, and I need somebody to get in touch with me and let me know what the results are.
Thank you, Mrs. Winston. Appreciate you speaking today. I do want to direct you to the right authority. So, Ms. City Secretary, do you mind just speaking briefly to who handles the elections?
Yes. Excuse me. The elections are handled by the county election administrators, and so you would need to reach out to the county. You could talk to Christy Benj if it's Potter County, or you could maybe reach out to one of the commissioners on the commissioner's court there. But they handle the running of the election, the acceptance of mail ballots, and so they would be the correct authority to speak to about your concerns.
Can you write her name down for me on paper?
I can.
Thank you, and y'all have a blessed day.
Hello, my name is Jason Roden. I do live within the city of Amarillo. I'm here to speak to you today on against 7.9, although I would like to echo my solidarity with those who are opposed to the Ten Commandments as well. I believe that they bring up an excellent point that we are a town made of myriad people, and the idea of focusing on surveillance instead of community development seems frightening to me. It seems inappropriate. It seems like there are better ways that we can outreach and that we can progress the goals that we are trying to achieve. And I do think that it is problematic at a minimum to default to a surveillance system in order to attempt to make this city a safer place. And I do think that there is some consideration that needs to be warranted to the public, that historically there are reasons to be concerned. I'm not speaking to your personal intentions, but there are reasons to be concerned when a group of white cisgendered men are making decisions about who should be surveilled. It is concerning, historically speaking, and I don't think it's an appropriate way for us to use our time. I don't think it's a way for us to use government money, and I think that we would be better suited finding other ways to develop and foster communication and coordination in the community that seems to benefit everyone. I appreciate your time.
Mayor, that concludes everyone that signed up today.
Okay, do I have anyone else here who would like to offer public comment today? Okay, do I see one? Did you not? Please come forward. Go ahead and give us your name, and then after you're done speaking, if you don't mind seeing our city secretary, we'll get your information.
All right, okay. My name is Emma Fournier, and I'm wanted to talk about, I think it was 7.9, and also I didn't know about 7.10. And so I am really concerned about just the amount of surveillance that's going to be happening. I remember years ago there was a real concern about the what were they? Oh my God, the stoplight cameras and stuff, and there was a whole thing about it. And I remember that they were eventually, the contract was not continued. So I think that this is something kind of like that. So that's my concern, and I'm not really for it. Also for the 10 Commandments, is there going to be like explaining what the historical significance of it is? Are we going to include any other religions in, like, oh, this is their like, code of conduct or whatever you want to call it? If it's just going to be one thing and it's not going to have any explanation, I think that's a big breach in separation of church and state. And I really, from what I've heard, there's several other cities that have tried to do this, and they have been sued. So I just don't think that's a good idea and good time spent on public money if we have to litigate this at all. And so that's all I wanted to say. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for speaking. Appreciate you stepping over there to give Ms. City Secretary your information. So I believe we've recognized everyone who wanted to speak here today. We will go ahead and close public comment, move ourselves into the consent agenda. Item number 5, council, is there anything you need taken off of the consent agenda?
Yeah, I would like to pull 5.6.
So item 5.6 on the zoo lease agreement. Any other items? Okay, would request a motion.
I move to adopt the consent agenda as presented, absent 5.6.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Let's take up item 5.6. I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. City Manager who he'd like to delegate that to.
Yes, I think, Donnie, would Michael Kashuba be here?
Yeah, I can take it, and then if we have any questions, we have some other staff members here that can answer some questions. So just kind of give you a rough overview of this. We're excited about today. This has been a long road to get to where we're at today, where we can consider the lease agreement with the Amarillo Zoo and Sanctuary. I will tell you that there have been a lot of conversations that have taken place over the past few months. Stephanie and her crew have been great to work with. Also, of course, Dustin and Michael Kashuba are here as well that can answer questions for us as well. And I know Stephanie is in attendance. I thought there she is over there on the front row. She can answer any questions as well. But just this agreement really reflects a lot of careful negotiation, striking the right balance, I think, for all of us. I know we had to visit with you in executive session about some things we wanted to make sure we had in this contract. We have that. A genuine partnership has been developed with a very qualified person that can do this with their organization. So a few key summary points of this. This is a 20-year foundation, stable long-term structure gives both the parties confidence to invest in the infrastructure and the programs and the people. This shared investment, the city's committing up to $900,000 to this. That's over a time period structured in that grant funding to the Amarillo Zoo and Sanctuary, committing about $50,000 in reserves on their side of that to handle any emergencies that come up. Also, we wanted to address the issue of, does this serve a public purpose? And we need to make sure that it did, and it does. We've checked all the boxes on that as well. There's a lot of accountability built into this lease agreement as well. Of course, the quarterly reports, annual audits, comprehensive inspection rights, recapture provisions, all those things are outlined very carefully in this lease agreement. And then future cooperation as well. The lease agreement also includes an explicit commitment to collaborate in good faith, long-term planning, transit access, adjacent property development, sustainable expansions, and anything else that they may want to do in the future. So I really think, what you see in that lease agreement is just a small portion of what we've talked about over the past several months. And we've gone back and forth many, many times on what we can and can't do. There were some things that we had to really describe what municipal government can do versus what a nonprofit can do. And still having ownership of that zoo, we want to make sure that all those boxes were checked as well. So I think we've all landed in a very, very good place in our conversations that we had last week, trying to get this on the agenda for today too, because they have some deadlines that they want to meet as well, as far as the possibility for some funding that they would have that would help them with employee pay and things like that. So been a good partner to work with, and we're just open for questions. If you have anything you want to discuss about this, myself, Stephanie, or any of our staff, whether that's legal or Mr. Kashuba, could answer any details to any of this.
Really good. We appreciate you walking us into that. Councilman Reed, do you have anything specific you'd like to address?
No, it wasn't anything specific. I know we've discussed this at length. I just thought it was good that people hear the work that was done by the city and our new partners. I think it's going to be something that people are going to come to appreciate, and the changes that are anticipated out there. The only option we had was going out of the zoo business, and I don't think any of us thought that was a smart thing to do. And so I really wanted the public to hear that this is a good partnership between the city and what we're going to enter into.
The one common thing we saw between both groups, both the people that are at the zoo now, our Parks and Recreation Department, and those that are on the lease, is that they're both passionate about it. I mean, both sides of this are so passionate about that zoo, wanting it to be successful. So I think we have the formula in place that can do that for years to come.
If I could just speak to the staff that have ran the zoo, some of them for many, many years. So the council's restricted budget was the problem. Aging infrastructure, lack of ability to prioritize funding over there when we were trying to make leaps and bounds on infrastructure and all sorts of very, very core function, public safety, police and fire, so many things that we have accomplished over the last several years. It just kept getting pushed further and further out. And so the staff was in no way the issue at the zoo. The staff has always done a really good job with what they have. And so I just want to say that again, they're appreciated, and they're not being replaced. I know that we tried to get a collaborative work, going out there with our nonprofit and want to see as many of those people stay as want to, but then the nonprofit opens up not only fundraising capabilities for people that are passionate and philanthropic that want to invest for those animals, their condition, the ability for people to go and learn and utilize the zoo, but this allowed for us to not only have a reduction in our budget, but then to come alongside a nonprofit that can own that zoo with the passion that it takes, and then hopefully migrate within, kind of the way the staff is. So I just don't want anybody to feel like the solution to the problem was to replace the people. It was in no way that way. It was to replace the system that we needed to reach outside of ourselves. We said earlier today in a budget that we are not the solution because government's never the solution, right? We provide a foundation. This is a great example of, I think, this body trying to provide a foundation to let the public see to its own passions and desires. And the zoo, I think, is set up for success. I've watched the staff take some good slow steps in walking this out to make sure they're prepared, they're trained, they're ready. they have every opportunity at success. And so I'm encouraged for my citizens when they go back to the zoo to see some improvements over these next really months, but within the next couple of years, it's going to be drastic. So thank you to our nonprofits seated out there and what you guys are willing to do alongside us. Councilman.
Yeah, I think the great thing about this is it's a win-win all the way around. I mean, it's a win for the taxpayers because ultimately it will free up about $300,000 a year or so that we've been spending on subsidizing the zoo. And the other win is I think we will not only will we continue having a zoo, I think we will have a zoo that the people that are behind it, that our community will become more and more proud of it, of what they're trying to do, and it will be one of those things I think will be a great benefit for the community. I think we're extremely fortunate that we do have some very dedicated people in the community that were willing to step up and do this. Maybe we can find somebody to take over swimming pools. I don't know, but I think I really appreciate them being so diligent about this. It took a little bit of time to kind of work out the details because it's a lot more complicated than you would think of being able to do it. Just so everybody knows the ground rules, and I think that protects everybody by having a good document. One question I do want to ask is. The $50,000 emergency fund, I guess, how is that going to kind of work? Because as I understood it, they're going to have kind of a reserve. So if something comes up major, they have that, and that it would if they use it, it would be replenished, and that there would be some communication between the city and the organization running the zoo about using. Just so there's good. I think the thing that by putting that in, it was just so that we don't, there's forced communication if there's an issue so that we say, okay, something's happening so that we can attack a problem sooner rather than later. But how is that?
You described it perfectly. It's a reserve that's there in case there's an issue that comes up that's an emergency that needs to be taken care of right away. And it's also, we're making an investment, they're making an investment. It's an equal, everybody's got some skin in the game, if you will. So that if something happens, we have a plan and we can get that taken care of immediately. Rather than us trying to find a funding source to get that done and time spent with those capital improvements needing to be done. Really, that was a lot of the negotiations that surrounded how we were going to be able to structure this for them to be able to spend the funding that they would have from the city and what that would be used for, how it would be used, how we would be accounting that. So we really just wanted to have a $50,000 reserve there so that they could, if something happened, they could address it.
And they hold the reserve?
Correct.
And then, but then there's a report out. I mean, there's a mechanism, or what is the mechanism in place that, okay, the city would find out if they're having to tap into those reserves?
Well, first of all, we've all agreed, and this is the one thing I love about this relationship that we developed, is that there's got to be communication about everything that's going on out there. Making sure that Mr. Kashuba knows everything that they're needing out there as far as what they're wanting to do for programs, what they're needing to do for capital improvements, so that there's good communication, not only between them and us, but also between us and you and the citizens on what's going out there. So it's just another communication trail. We had an emergency. We're going to have to spend some reserves to get that fixed, and we'll just talk our way through that.
Okay.
The communication is going to be real critical as we move forward through this relationship.
Well, and I don't think I'm worried about communication with the group of people, but 20 years from now, there could be a whole other group of people there that are running it as it transitions, to make sure that that's something that we've got in place, so it's that we're aware of it.
We had that exact conversation that really we're not worried about us, we're not worried about them. We're just worried about what if we're not here and what if they're not there. What does that look like, and is this contract structured so well that it's going to be the same consistent agreements all the way through, regardless of who is going to be managing or who's going to be operating it under this lease.
And then the amount, so this is the amount for the next 6 years, I guess.
Correct.
The last 5.5 years. So how is this distributed? Is it just one lump sum, or
no, sir?
How does that work?
No, for the current fiscal year, and this is one of the discussions we had as well. We're already halfway through our fiscal year, so we've already expended a lot of our funds out there at the zoo because we had to operate it all this time. So it's a reduced amount this year at $150,000 that they will have to spend for the rest of the year for operations out there. And then next year it'll be $250,000, and then it drops by $50,000 per year until it goes down to zero. So it's $250,000 down to $200,000, $150,000, $100,000, and down to $50,000 in 30/31.
Okay. And then, but like the $150,000, do they get that on a month? so much per month, or how is the distribution part of that work?
No, we'll get that all in one lump sum from the way I understand it.
Okay, fine. Because I knew that was an issue at first when we were talking about that they've got to begin cash flowing the day that they
Yeah.
move in, and to be able to have that allows
Yes,
them
sir.
to be.
And of course, there's some accountability that goes along with that too. You know, there's the reporting, the quarterly reporting, all the things that are built in there as far as the financials are concerned, for us to be able to see what's going on with those public funds.
Okay, thank you.
Real good, Councilman. Councilman Reed, do you have anything further? I do not. Okay. Would request a motion on item, 5.6?
So moved.
Second.
So moved and seconded on item 5.6. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations to you guys. Thank you all for attending. As a side note, that was something that Councilman Kraft in Place 1 started work on about a year and a half ago, I think. So it took a good long while. We walked it slow, but I know we walked it in the right direction. So thank you once again. Move into Section 6 in our agenda. I don't have any discussion items here today. Do I have any requested future agenda items by the council?
I've got one.
Yes, sir.
I think it's, I'd like to hear how we're going to get the committee meetings on the.
Are you talking about our boards and commissions and,
Yes.
and streaming those?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to have some resolution on that.
Yeah, we can bring an update to that. I know Councilor Simpson and I have been working on that as one of our side projects, so that we can bring that information back to the council on that.
Thank you.
Okay. We will move into our non-consent agenda. Always good. I know we have bond counsel here, so we're going to be able to get them moving by 5 o'clock. I believe that's their deadline. Interested to hear this one. So item 7.1, I'm going to ask the city manager to read us into that one.
Yes, and so we have a few guests with us, but first off, we're going to set the stage and provide some context. I'm going to have Donnie Hooper provide you some context about the street project. This is a street bond with a little bit of PID. And then once he's finished, I will bring up our financial advisors to talk about what we have structured for a potential note on this, and then go from there. So, Donnie, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor and Council. So a brief recap. I want to go through this again to make sure that everybody in the public mainly hears this. But I went back and watched an August 10th, 2023 council meeting that occurred, to go back and look and make sure we had the context right of what was said in that meeting. Of course, this was a previous council where they really gave direction. That council gave direction to us to look at issuing debt each year for street maintenance programs, street reconstruction for a 10-year look. In other words, every year that we would be putting money toward those streets for 10 years to make those improvements. Presentation of a revised plan was given to City Council February of 25, the 25th day of the month, where debt was issued for the 25 summer maintenance program. So that was a year ago that we went through that process. Then we started, of course, and finished our summer maintenance program. We also discussed yearly cycle for street maintenance and street reconstruction, planning and execution. So this was all part of a bigger plan. It wasn't just coming up this week and saying, hey, let's issue some COs for some street plans. This was more of a strategic plan that began in 2023 at the direction of the council. We did ask for council feedback in 25 to make sure that we had everything in order to what we wanted to do. The only thing that came out of that feedback was that we did not want to fund an in-house program where we were doing mill and fill. Instead, that would be a part of the street maintenance contract. So we took that and moved forward with the plan. So basically what we did is we came up with the 10-year program goals that we'd begin our street assessments in November, starting those much earlier than we had before, so that we would have projects ready earlier to go in the year. We began design of new maintenance projects 1 year ahead of paving and maintenance season. So in other words, what you're seeing in design right now that's already fixing to get underway would be for next year. And we did the same thing a year ago to get ready for this year. Projects to be out for bid early enough to get plenty of interest from our contractors. For those that don't know, and this has been typical through my whole career, if you don't get the bids out early before you get into the spring, most of those contractors that do street work, they're tied up with contracts. They want to secure those and get their jobs set up for the coming summer season when it's paving season, so that they can have work for their employees and for their companies. So we want to make sure and get those bids out early. We were not doing that. We didn't do a very good job of that, but we are now. Award street maintenance projects early in the spring so that we can also utilize the full season. When we get that out in April or May, and the bids come back in and it comes to council for approval, now they can work the full summer season and get the maximum amount of work done that we hope that they can do. I went back and simplified this chart and moved it so that you could kind of see this in order. This is something you've seen before, but I changed the order of it just so it makes a little bit more sense. The goal was to issue debt in February. That would, of course, then put our projects out for bid all the way up where we could do that somewhere in May, and now we're hitting our targets. Then we would start our summer construction maintenance project that would run all the way through the early spring, all the way through October. That October date is not ever set. It's when we start seeing cold weather come in, where our temperatures are not, we're not able to pave, we're not able to do the work, then that's when we stop that project. But that gives us that full 4+ month range when we do it in this order. Then in November, we would begin our next street assessment, which that has already occurred in this year as well. The street assessment was finished up for this year just about a month ago, and so now we go back up to February, and what's going on right now is the assessment evaluation is taking place for next year's program, coincide with the rest of the work. And then, of course, we just continue to go through the design phase. That takes us all the way up through October, and then here we are back to the bid packets coming out. Then we're back to February to issue the debt, and that just keeps going year by year by year. That's the 10-year look that we were looking at in getting all this done. That puts us in a very, very positive position to make a true difference in our streets and the maintenance that we're putting into them. I told y'all this in the last meeting, and I'll say it again. It's the best program we've had in my 30 years of doing this as far as a plan is concerned to truly maintain the streets, because we're not the only city that struggles with this. Every city struggles with how you're going to maintain your streets and where you're getting your money from and how you're going to do it. And the public on one hand is saying fix our streets, and we came up with a good solution, and I think this is what we're handing them today. I just want to remind you of the PCI recap. This is we talk about PCI as our pavement condition index, what we get with our street assessment. This is just a graph showing you the treatment types that we use and what happens in the life of a street. When it's brand new, its PCI is 100. It immediately starts trailing off. You see that we start having to do some work when it hits in that 85 range. This is what you optimally would want to do, somewhere between 85, 72. You'd want to do that microsurface. Then you add a cape seal when it gets deteriorated past that, a mill and overlay down when it gets in that 55 range. And then, of course, after that, you start to really see the condition of the streets trail off, where now you're doing full depth reconstruction. Those numbers for dollars up there are just a representation. It's $1 now, or you're going to do 4 times that if you wait till the next treatment, 12 times that if you're going to wait until the next treatment. So you're spending good money now by doing the maintenance to prolong the life of those streets, and you see the timely preservation just flattens that curve out a little bit. We've already seen an improvement in our PCI, and we expect to see more improvement in that PCI as we go through with this program. So for consideration for you today, the $12 million in upcoming 2026 summer maintenance program money already designed, ready for bid. As we've hit our targets for the first time. We're there. We're ready to put this thing out. We'll be able to hit the spring targets of getting that out, as I just showed you on the graph, and it'll be ready to go. That was all designed in-house by CP&D and Public Works. Alan Jackson, we call him that, Alan Jackson, the Chattahoochee brothers worked on that together to get this done. I shouldn't have said that in this meeting, but that's what we call them behind the scenes, Alan and Jackson. $16 million design and construction for Osage Street from 34th to 58th is in design phase. Then a proposed debt issuance, if approved, will fund the planned maintenance and reconstruction projects. So I want to run through the list of projects. This is the first one. This is the $16 million design and construction for Osage Street from 34th to 58th. That is a full depth reconstruction. That's a long arterial there that will actually go all the way down to the subgrade. We'll restabilize the subgrade. We'll add in new base material. We'll stabilize the base material. It'll be compacted. It'll have density tests, just like a brand new street would. And then you're going to come back and tack that and pave it and make it a new road. And again, that's all the way from 34th to 58th. Construction time on that's 2 years. We're at 30% design right now. We know that the design is going to be complete this fall, and we want to jump right into that work as soon as we get the design finished to start bidding that project out to get the work done on that. As far as street maintenance is concerned, streets are chosen for the improvements based on the assessment that we talked about. And we do that assessment with some very complex equipment that tells us the life of that street, what the thickness of the pavement is, what the longitudinal cracking is doing, what the horizontal cracking is doing, how much moisture is getting into that base material, what the condition of the base material is. All these things go into that assessment. And then we take that PCI condition, and then streets not need a full depth replacement. We start evaluating which ones are the most important to put on the list. and streets that will improve our overall PCI rating. So if you have a street that is down there in the area where it's just mill and fill, might need reconstruction, we're probably going to move that down on the list and go to something else that's going to improve our PCI rating based on the conditions. There are 3 types of treatments that we use for this maintenance program: mill and overlay, cape seal, microsurfacing. Each of those treatments has a different role, as you saw on the PCI curve that we had a moment ago. A mill and fill, just to explain this to everyone so you can hear it in layman terms, that's where we grind off the top surface of the pavement. We put new hot mix on top of that, and we remove the deteriorated surface, allowing the new asphalt to bond properly to that. It's about usually 1.5 inches to 3 inches thick. It does restore the ride quality very well. This is a very popular treatment that a lot of entities use, including TxDOT and others. It fixes the moderate cracking and rutting, provides new driving surface, and this year's program that we have designed has about 30 blocks. And we changed that. We've been using miles and lane miles, and I think that's confusing. And Jerry and I were talking the other day, and he said, let's use blocks. That's something that everybody can hear in their head, and regardless of how many lanes it is, you know how much you're getting for the work here. So about 30 blocks, and we run through those for you. The first of those is this area downtown, right where we're at now. This is north and south downtown on the majors, covering 9 city blocks. Each are 3-lane streets. They will get mill and overlay, and you see that's on all 4 of those. Now, we have some other treatments we're doing on this corridor as well that I'll show you later on in the presentation. Wolfland Avenue, this is 12 city blocks from Austin Street to Washington Street. That is a street that's in dire need of repair, and it has reached the point in it that it has to have a mill, and no other treatment would really do it any good out there. So we'll be doing a mill and overlay on that one. Both streets are 2-lane streets here. This is out by Parkside and 48th. This is just north of John Stiff Park. Desperate need of that, and with the increased traffic and everything we have going on at John Stiff, we thought that was a good solution out there to add this to our mill and overlay program. And then South Coulter Street, covering about 15 city blocks on a 5-lane arterial, and you can see that that's a long stretch there from the loop. It goes all the way up to Arden Street, so a very long stretch there on Coulter. That also, some of the thought processes in it too is where is it tying into recent work that we've had, where we can make a corridor whole, if you will, tying into other repairs we've had in the previous year's program. A cape seal is a 2-step treatment. Y'all are used to seeing a chip seal or a seal coat program where we have the rocks out there. That's the first part of this treatment, is a chip seal that goes down. It gives you a binder. It seals some of the cracks that are on the road. And then also we put a microsurface treatment on top of that, which seals the cracks, protects the pavement from moisture, restores a smoother surface. And a microsurface surface is very easy to drive on. They're very nice. It looks like a rebuilt road, but it's really not. More durable than a chip seal, smooth finish, 8 to 12 years life on that, and we have 69 blocks of arterial streets that we feel like we can add to this program this year. I will say this too, with fuel prices the way that they were about a month ago, we thought, man, we're going to be able to get a lot more done with this program this year than we may have been able to do maybe in the previous year. Now, with fuel prices surging back up, we're going to have to look and see how those bids come in, but typically, we think we're going to be able to get 69 blocks of arterial streets done. So here they are. This is the other part of the majors downtown that qualified more for the cape seal rather than doing a full mill and fill on those. And so, and that was based on the assessment data that we got in, and that's the north and downtown majors. We have 6th Street Avenue covering 15 city blocks, and that's all a 2-lane street, and that's a very large, heavily traveled corridor. That's going to get a nice treatment on that. Also Fulton, this will cover 15 city blocks as well, and this is over off of Bell Street, back over from Bell to Coulter there on Fulton. And then we also have 10th Street from T-Anchor, and that goes 16 city blocks as well, and ties kind of right back into the 10th Street project that's ongoing right now with some of the improvements that's happening on 10th, more this side of that, on the west of that area. Another Cape Seal project, Eastern Street, covering about 14 blocks, 5-lane arterial. And then we'll move to the microsurface treatment. This will be easier to get through. The microsurface is just basically going on top of some streets, putting down about 3/8 of an inch of pavement, if you will, sealing that, keeping it from getting water back into that base material, correcting the minor ruts, skid resistant, prevents water intrusion and oxidation, things like that. It's a low-cost treatment, but it's better than seal coat and chip seal. We get a lot of complaints about rock on the road. You will not get rock on the road with this. This year's program has 5 residential areas that will receive this: Belmar, Puckett Place, Vineyards, Creighton Park. We'll have to look and see what the fuel costs do to us this year. We have an order that we can back those up if we need to back some of these out, and we have a plan for that. But these residential areas are areas that were, when we had a large full city chip seal program that took place several years ago, these were the last of those that didn't get done. So we want to make sure that we get those done as well and added them to the program. So a summary of that: 30 blocks of arterials, 69 blocks in mill and overlay, 69 blocks of Cape Seal, 5 residential areas with micro surface. So we have more of this presentation, not only just with this side, but we also have our financial advisors here as well to talk. But if you have any questions about any of that plan, we'd be glad to answer any of those questions.
Questions for Mr. Hooper?
So Osage, so what's the history on that? I mean, we're doing a full replacement on that. Is it lack of maintenance? Is it just finally giving up the ghost? I mean, did we not do the maintenance on that, or what is causing, why is that at the top of the priority
That's a great question. Historically, there are a lot of streets that are, not just Osage, that are in the condition that Osage is in. One of the things that happened with Osage was several years ago, there was a lot of utility work that took place by the Osage treatment plant across there, so that caused some problems out there. And this is just an old street that has run its course. I mean, it's just had its